It's William with the Riverstone Life, and we're going to talk about frame flex. Other words, frame failure. And yes, this is something that I looked into before we even purchased the Riverstone. So let's go back a little bit. You're talking all of my 20s, 30s, and my early 40s, I was hauling a 35-foot fifth wheel. And in the summertime, I'd have the boat behind it. Yes, I was one of those guys, double pulling. You could do that in Colorado, and you could do that in Wyoming if you were under 70 feet back then. And I did it all the time. Had a lot of practice with it. Do I recommend it? No, I don't recommend it. If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. But you got to learn somehow. And I did do that. And in the summertime, I hauled my ATVs in the back of my 20-foot enclosed trailer. And in the wintertime, I hauled snowmobiles, and I took people up on guided snowmobile tours for years and years. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And then I got out of it, took a long break from it. And then me and Robin met, and then she sold the home. And before you knew it, we're looking at fifth wheels again. So I researched a lot of stuff. Now I knew that I wanted thicker walls. I knew I wanted better insulation because I know these things suck in the cold weather. And anybody that tells you it's 4 seasons is full of shit. I mean, you can turn it into a 4-season unit by doing a lot of stuff to it, but the first thing is thicker walls and better insulation. So I knew that right away in my head. But back in 2022, when we got into this lifestyle, I started researching stuff, and this frame issues were already out there then. People just were not talking about it. YouTube's turned it into a big thing the first part of this year, and I held off before I started talking about it because I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon. But I do want to pick up new subscribers that want to know about the Riverstone and what has happened with us. And if you're going to get into this lifestyle, things you need to change, things you need to do, and first of all is getting an RV that will work for you. And a lot of these RVs will not work for you. And they say they will because YouTube sells this lifestyle. They sell this lifestyle of boondocking. Boondocking is awesome. I did it for a lot of years. It takes a wear and tear on your equipment. Now it's like anything. You've got a guy that's got a brand new pickup in his driveway and his neighbor has the exact same pickup, but for some reason his neighbor's looks like shit because his neighbor's going off-roading all the time. Now he's living that life, he's having that dream, he's having a blast, but he's paying for it all the time. It's costing him money constantly. So if you're going to take one of these big 40-foot units and you're going to go boondocking to save some money on camping spots or RV parks, yes, you will save it on that, but it will cost you other ways. If you're not careful, you'll wreck suspension and tires, you'll rip off jacks, you'll mess up some stuff unless you're very, very careful, and you can be that way. We do take ours to a few places and I'm super careful and I still bend a jack, so it happens. These manufacturers do not design these things for that type of use. They sell you that lifestyle, but they don't make them that way. Now, when I started looking at the Riverstone, the reason I went towards the Riverstone is because of its steel frame. And the steel frame goes way back, farther than it does on all the other ones. It's something you have to have on this big of a unit. Now, if you're going to take your other fifth wheel and you're going to drive it down the roads, and you'll probably be one of those people, if you're not boondocking, you're staying on the best roads you can. But I'm going to tell you, every major city that you go into, the roads are the worst. And you will get that fifth wheel yanking. Well, when it's yanking from the main point, and that is going through the whole structure. So that yanking that you're getting when you're going down the road, a lot of that can be taken care of once you learn your unit. You can put your stuff in your unit to get rid of that. Now, like our unit, I change a lot of stuff because when you start this lifestyle, you start downsizing a lot. You sell your home and you think you've downsized a lot. That you ain't downsized yet. You'll downsize 3 or 4 more times within the first year of doing this lifestyle. That I've heard from everybody I've talked to, and me and Robin have already done it. Right now, we've got this fifth wheel where it should be. When I first put this thing on the road, I was overweight. And I knew it, and I drove slow, and I watched the holes, and I took the back roads where better roads were. I tried to stay out of the major cities because I knew I was overweight. But as we scaled down and we got this thing to the weight that we needed to be, we were lucky because we put 20-some thousand miles on this unit. We have no structure problems, no frame problems of any kind. So when you're looking at this thing going, oh, flex frame, frame failure, this is not bait and switch type thing. This is to talk about ways to not have them problems. First of all, buy a Riverstone. If you, and don't, this is not, Riverstone does not sponsor me. If you watch our early videos, I was hard on Riverstone because I spent a lot of money and things kept breaking on this thing. The problem with this, the things that kept breaking were the things that Riverstone bought from other manufacturers and put it in their units. And I understand that sometimes that's what you have to do. But that's a mistake in my opinion. They need to have better quality control on the stuff they're putting in their units. But I've got all those bugs fixed and worked out, and Riverstone did reimburse our money on a lot of that stuff, so that was very helpful from those guys. But those guys do not sponsor this channel anyway. They don't do anything for us, so I want that out there. The reason it's called the Riverstone Life is because we bought a Riverstone and we changed our life, and this is what it is. It's the Riverstone Life. I thought it was the best way to basically explain our station, or our channel basically, not our station. I wish it was a station. Maybe I'd get more views and more subscribers. Whatever, you know, don't get me wrong, we're doing really good for only doing this for a year, but I wanted to address this because everybody else out there has. I researched this. I knew that this was my best chance of buying one that I wasn't going to have any issues with it when it came to the frame and it came to cold weather. Those were my first concerns because those are concerns that I knew about because I did this life for a long time. I snowmobiled every weekend in really cold weather in a fifth wheel. That fifth wheel was a 2001, I think it was the last one that I had. They built things really good back then. I mean, that thing, we had a couple heaters mounted on the walls in that thing, but that thing would cook you out. You didn't care what temperature it was outside. You didn't have to deal with that. I had a small generator that ran for like 6 hours on less than a gallon of gas, and it kept that thing going all the time. So I knew that I could survive this if we were in some cold areas, and we have. The walls in this thing are great. I mean, I think it's harder to keep it warm because it's so much bigger than my old one, so I can't compare it that way. But the door structures, the overall structure of the Riverstone is there. Yes, you're going to pay more money for it, but you can bargain shop on these things. You can also find somebody that jumped into this lifestyle and decided they hated it, and you can get a good deal. You can spend the same amount on a Riverstone as you can those other brands that they're talking about on YouTube. And I'm not going to bash brands, but you know which ones I'm talking about. You can actually find a Riverstone in that same price area and get a better quality unit. You're going to get that steel frame, and I'll walk out here and I'll show you that steel frame goes all the way back. And I'm telling you, another thing is when you start hauling your fifth wheel down the road and you're getting those washboard roads and you're getting that stuff and you're feeling that jerk. When you're feeling that jerk, that's jerking your truck, it's jerking you sitting in there, you can literally move stuff around or drop some stuff of the weight and change things in your fifth wheel to get rid of that. Now, on our fifth wheel, I actually have to put the freshwater tank at 50%. The way I have it set up right now, I have it set up where the weight takes away most of that, but when I don't have any water in the fresh tanks, then I still get a lot of that bouncing like that. But I did that for a reason, because I want to be able to have some water with us. So when me and Robin can pull into these waste sides and stuff like that, we can actually get out and use our bathrooms and stuff like that. And if we have a night where we can't get into an RV park and we have to rough it, like this last trip, it was planned, but I had 50% water, so we were able to use our toilets, take a shower the next day, and we didn't have to rough it. So I have ours set up that way. So I've spent enough time hauling this unit around to know the unit. And once you know your unit, you won't have those issues. But it also comes back on the manufacturer. These manufacturers know, and you all know which ones I'm talking about. When they're barely putting any steel in this thing and they're putting all that aluminum, they're trying to keep the weight down. I understand they're doing that because they're selling these people this giant toy hauler, and this guy's going to put this big ass side-by-side that he just pumped another $5,000 worth of accessories into it that weighs another 300 or 400 pounds more than it originally did in the back of this. And you can't tell me with all that weight in the back of this thing that he's not getting more of that chopping. So what he's getting that, it's yanking right there on the truck, and it's yanking right there. And that is going through the whole structure. And that's where a lot of these guys are having that problem. Plus, a lot of those guys that buy those big units and put their side-by-side in there, they're all off-road guys, and they're gonna go spend some time running down washboard, logging roads and stuff like that. And they're trying to beat their buddies there so they can get the best spot. So those guys are ruining their fifth wheels all by themselves. But it still comes back on the manufacturer. They're selling them that lifestyle. They're talking about that lifestyle, and they know that they're going to do that. So why not just build a better frame right away? That's the difference between Riverstone. Riverstone is already doing that and have been doing that. And that's one of the choices that we made when we got the Riverstone. The biggest thing was the walls, the 3¼ inch walls, the insulation, and the frame. Those were my 3 favorite things about it, and that's why I started looking at it. Now there was 2 other brands that I went and looked at it too, and I can't remember which one was which, but there was one of them that had a better frame, and the walls, they were 3-inch walls and had the good insulation, and I liked some of the design inside, but the price was $40,000 more. So when I looked at the price of what I was getting, then that changed my mind there too, and I went with the Riverstone. And then some of those other companies have went out of business since then, so you'll know which ones those are, because I'm not going to talk about that. And I'm glad I didn't do that either. I'm glad I stayed with the Riverstone. Now that we've hauled this thing down the road 20-some thousand miles, and I've been able to inspect everything on it, this thing has held up amazing. And I know it's because of the frame and the extra thing that Riverstone does. So when you come across our video, you're coming across the video, if you're going to get into this lifestyle, you need to know this stuff right away. You need to know your unit. You need to learn your unit. You need to set it up correctly, because you will be close to being overweight as soon as you get all your stuff in it, because you've downsized from a 2,000 or 3,000 square foot home. You've already think you've cut it so much that you're going to be okay, but you haven't. You haven't even got close yet. You're going to do it 3 or 4 more times. So that's the reason I threw this video out here, not for clickbait for you to see, oh, a picture of a Riverstone with that same title that everybody else puts out there. Oh, he must be having problems with his Riverstone. And that's okay. If you're out there thinking about buying a Riverstone and you click on this, be glad that you clicked on it, that you've got somebody like me telling you that you're not going to probably have that problem unless you're that guy that's off-roading with it and pushing it to its limits and then wondering why it happened and then bitching and complaining. Now, I know there's a lot of guys out there that have issues with their frames, and I know that they probably deserve the manufacturer to help them out. But it's a few bad guys that really are hard on these things that make these people not want to fix your stuff. So stop buying their stuff. We can solve this problem. We can make the changes ourselves. If we stop buying those products that have all those issues, the manufacturer will change. It's the public that makes these companies make changes, and we can do that. Stop buying them. Buy other ones. Spend a little more money, so your payment's going to be $100 more if you're going to finance the thing. And if you're going to purchase it outright, then you're already doing better than most anyway, so you can splurge a little bit and get a better unit. And if you're going to buy a Riverstone, get some of the things that I talk about, Buy it from a good dealer. Buy the dealer, not the unit first. Get a good dealer, and you won't have any of those issues that me and Robin had. Make sure it gets that new door. We've got to use that new door now, and I feel like I'm not living in a camper anymore. I can just push a click. I mean, it just is amazing compared to the original door. I don't know why Riverstone didn't change that in the first place, but let's walk out here and just take a look at this Riverstone. It's been a while since I've showed anything or talked about it, but I mean, you can see that I have all the extra supports. I use all these extra supports. We even got the snap pads on here now. But when you come back, this thing has the steel frame, and it goes all the way down through here, and it comes all the way down the back here. And you can see it up in there. And it goes away. I've had all these panels apart. I mean, it's all the way through there. I've actually went in there and I've checked everything on this unit to make sure that I have no cracks or anything like that. Now imagine when you have all that steel going through there to this, right here, where everything is being yanked from. I mean, just imagine yanking your arm all day long. Your arm's going to get pretty weak after that. And that's what's going on all day long when you're driving this down the road. And a way to get that bouncing and that chopping out of there a lot of times is just by moving stuff around in these compartments and making changes. And by making those changes, you can make this thing ride a lot smoother. Check that door out. Ours is the 2023. They should have had this door on them originally, It's a world of difference, And you can see, now if you look in our earlier videos, I had no room in here at all. Everything was packed so tight. Plus these boxes now have got less stuff in them. So we've trimmed down our weight a lot in this unit. And it's made a difference. This last trip, I mean, we drove here all the way from Pennsylvania, and this last trip, I had no bouncy, no nothing at all. I mean, this thing towed so nice. But you can see there's nothing, no movement anywhere, no issues of any kind. I don't have any problems with this frame, anything coming apart, any seams, anything on here. You know, this was the hail damage was all through here. This is what they replaced, got the hail damage all fixed. So that's turned out really, really nice. Still needs to be washed and detailed up. I haven't done that. But if you're going to get into this lifestyle and you're thinking about buying a fifth wheel, you can take these things and you can go boondocking. You just got to have them set up right, and you got to watch what you're doing. And you can still enjoy that lifestyle. But just remember, if you're going to do all that boondocking, you're going to pay the price somewhere. You're going to pay it on suspension. You're going to pay it on tires. You're going to pay it on something. Because those logging trails and those roads, they take their wear and tear on all that stuff. I mean, I've caught that jack, one of these jacks on the other side. I tweaked it. I got it pretty much straightened out now. But that's what happens when you go boondocking with them. So hopefully this video is helpful. You know, if you're going to get into this lifestyle, I think you really need to look at the Riverstone. Now that we've had it for this long, it's made a world of difference. At least in my opinion, I don't feel when I'm hauling it down the road that I have to have any concerns about hurting other people. But it's a big, expensive unit. And if you're going to haul it all the time, then I wouldn't recommend the Riverstone. If you're going to get into this lifestyle and you're going to be hauling that thing, you know, every week, trying to hit every state, you know, and do that type of lifestyle. Me and Robin have been to all 50 states a few times now. So we don't have to play that game. We're in a long-term spot here in Alabama. Beautiful community. A lot of fun things to do around here. And we're looking forward to this year. And then next year we might take it to Washington or Oregon or some other place and spend the whole year down there. That's the way I want to do this. I don't want this thing on the road constantly. And a lot of times me and Robin will park this thing in a park, jump in the Jeep, and we'll go into all these national parks and visit those areas and let the Jeep get beat up instead of beating up this thing. It just costs too much. And once it's down, you'll be like a lot of these other people that can't even RV now because they've got so much wrapped up in this stuff and it's broken down. So if you're a manufacturer and you're watching these videos, make them better. Even though you know that those people are going to do that stuff, if you make a better product, you can't make it perfect. You're not gonna solve all their problems because you just can't fix dumb. Some people are completely dumb and they just do shit and then they want somebody else to pick up the bill. And that's not what our videos are about. We take responsibility for the mistakes that we make, and we all need to out there. And if you're one of them people that just got bent over on your fifth wheel, and I feel for you, I really do. And I hope that they change some standards, and I hope you can get your fifth wheel fixed and get it back on the road, because this is an expensive lifestyle and people need to realize that. It's not what they sell you on YouTube. Yes, you can stay in those cheap places, but there is a cost at those places because they're down logging roads, dirt roads, roads that are not maintained. And you're going to stay in those areas and save money that way, but you're going to cause more expense and more wear and tear on your truck and your fifth wheel or your travel trailer. So every time you stay in those places, remember that. But I wanted to do a video about this just because I haven't talked about it, and people need to know that there are fifth wheels out there that you will not have those issues. Now, if you come across this video and you know somebody that has a Riverstone that's had frame issues like this, leave it in the comments so people know about it. Because I've researched and I've talked to so many Riverstone people that I haven't. I've heard suspension problems and things like that, but I could never, never know if they were driving 80 mile an hour through these big cities and hitting all those potholes. You can destroy your own stuff all on your own without anybody else helping you or with the manufacturer problems, because the roads are so bad out there. So if you're getting into this lifestyle, avoid the big cities and you'll avoid a lot of the road issues that you're going to come across. But leave some comments. If I'm completely wrong about this stuff, put it in there. I could have went through and talked about every frame picture and throw that stuff all out there. Why? There's plenty of pictures out there. I'm giving you our experience from somebody that's pulled this 22 to 23,000 miles in 1 year across the United States to 35 states now. 35 states this thing's been into. We've been to Alaska, we didn't take it, and we didn't take it because I was trying to not be that guy going, oh, well, you know, they sold me that whole lifestyle, told me I can do it. And everybody out there told me how bad the roads really were, and they weren't nearly as bad as I expected them to be. I've been through some of these big cities where the roads are worse than that Alaska road. So if you've got a smaller unit and you want to do that, I wouldn't be worried about that. Just drive slow and take your time. I would have loved to take this, but after we did the trip, I'm glad we didn't. It took a lot of stress off me and it made the trip more enjoyable. But yes, our Riverstone doesn't have any frame issues. No flex frame problems, no cracks, no weld cracks, nothing coming loose that I can see. And it hasn't been like a lot of these guys parked in one spot. It's been hauled down the road. It spent the last 126 days getting the hail damage fixed, and it's back on the road again. But we traveled so much with it last year, and I was not easy on it in the beginning because in the beginning I was learning the thing, so I was a little harder than normal. This trip here, I hauled it a little faster. I drove at 65, 70 sometimes, because just watching my fuel mileage to see which way I could get the best fuel mileage. But 62 behind this truck to 65, depending on where you're at and what kind of wind you have, is your best fuel mileage hauling one of these big units. So just remember, if you like what me and Robin are doing on the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. You know, if you've had some issues with yours, with the frame or anything like that, I'd like to know about it so that I could update this video and talk about that, because I haven't been able to find anybody that's had any frame issues with the Riverstone. So if you're out there thinking about getting in this lifestyle, this is the, you know, the best way that I know to guarantee you're not going to have any problems, even though there's no guarantees in life. We both all know that. So but thanks for watching, and we'll be back.